Hey everyone, welcome to another amazing workshop brought to you by the team here at Zenler. And I've got on this workshop, as always, my partner in crime, David's here. David, where are you?
Hello, Kevin. Hi,
Here we
guys.
go. Awesome. So we're live on Facebook. Obviously, a lot of you are coming in on Zoom. And this is day one, session one, live number one of the Community Connection Workshop. So I'm hoping you're all excited to be here. After the massive success we had of the Tours and the workshop, we're going to be building on that. And this is going to be a good one. I'm really looking forward to this one because as I've been researching it more and really getting into the understanding of just what different types of communities we can do, it's really opened my eyes up to quite a lot of extra stuff. And today is going to blow your mind, right? You don't need to take notes as we go through because there's too much to cover, but it's going to blow your mind and you're going to walk away going, my God, I just had no idea. And it's going to be exciting. So it's not about overwhelming people. We're not going to do that, but we are going to get lovely pink shirt, David. David gets all the good stuff. He gets all the great swag, right? I'm like the poor second cousin. Yeah, I get the hand-me-downs, right? David gets a look at my new shirt, look at my new hoodie, right? And there's me. I've got my yeah, it's all right. Anyway, right. Okay, so should we get into this? Are we ready to go? I think we're live. I think everyone's coming in that's coming in. So I'm just quickly going to share my screen in a second and we're going to get on with where we are and what we're up to. So David's going to look after you all in the chat. He's also going to pop in. We're going to do a Q&A in a little bit. So when we're at that point, those of you that are on Zoom, we'll undo your cameras and all of that stuff, and then you can come in and ask us stuff. Now, remember the golden rule of Q&A on the workshops. The Q&A is focused on the content of that particular live session. The reason we do it is because you'll probably ask questions that are going to be in live number 3, 4, or 5, and we're only on live number 1. So we keep it to what we're talking about on that particular one, and then we can move through. And as we go through, we just accumulate that as we go along. So everyone's ready to go. Let's go then. I'm going to get on with this and we're going to get cracking. We're going to be here probably 2 hours. It's a mammoth session. I've got a lot to cover. So I'm going to get on with it. Here we go. Da, da, da. So screen share number 1. I'm going to turn me off. You all know what I look like, so you don't need to see me. So we're in the Community Connection Workshop. It runs over 12 sessions. We've got 4 weeks of lives, and they're going to be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So make a note, exactly the same time every day. If you remember last time, we did it on a Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So this time we switched it up and we've gone right a little bit later. And we're going to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and it runs for 4 weeks. So I'm not going to go through all of this. Some of you will have seen this as you've opted in. If you've not yet opted in and you're on Facebook and you're going, how do I get into Zoom? We'll put the Zoom link in for you in the comments in a little while. But if you've subscribed to the funnel, then you're going to have got the Zoom link emailed to you, which is why everybody's able to get in. So it works. So today is live number 1. We're going to be looking at introduction to communities. So we're going to get into the basis of what they're about, why we're excited about them, why I'm excited about them, and why you walk away today going, I have no idea why. I've never had a community before. It is the best thing in the world, especially as course creators. And I'll explain why, especially for course creators later, because it's really, really important if you want a business that's going to stand the test of time. Communities has to factor in to what you're doing as a course creator. It's absolutely essential. Live 2, David's leading that one, so I'm leading today. So where it says lead on there, that's the person actually delivering the workshop. And if I'm leading it, then I host them all. And I'll lead this one. Dave's going to come in and do the chat and the Q&A and all of that. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we've got community planning. So that's live session 2. David's going to be leading the training on that one. And then I'll be hosting and supporting in the chat while he's doing that and then jumping in the Q&A. So that tends to be how we work these now. Live number 3 on Friday, we've got Rakesh coming in. He's going to give us an overview of the actual community system within Zenler. Now, if those of you that were on Day with Zenler last week, you'll have noticed that there's a couple of really big updates we talked about on Friday. They're going to be fully out to the community in the next few days. So if you haven't got them just yet, don't panic. If that's one of your questions, we know, and they're being released out bit by bit by bit. But we've got a massive community of Zenler users now, so it takes a little while just to get that out rolling properly. So Rakesh is going to be live on session 3. Session 4, 5, and 6 are all about builds. So myself, David, and Mamie are going to be each building out a community. So I'm heading on to the public ones and how we build that and make that work for our business. David's going to do a private community and show us how that works, and Mamie will do a secret community, which are the 3 types of course that we can have. Then we're on live 7, so that's week number 3 on the Monday. We're looking at community leadership. So David's going to take us through that. That's going to be really exciting. I'm going to, on the Wednesday, take you through community engagement, and we're going to talk about making sure that everything happens as we want it to happen. My mate's then going to take us through into monetizing your community. So how do you make money through a community that you manage, run, and own? Then live 10, growing your community, back with me. So I'm going to teach you how to and show you, give you some really great ideas on how to get people coming into your communities, whether it's a public community or not. And that's going to keep the growth going. So that's really, really awesome. Then David's going to take us through one of his specials on advanced features within a community. So I'm really looking forward to that. How can we add funnels in and do live streams in and all of that whilst we're waiting for other functionality to be delivered within the platform? And then, of course, on the final Friday of week 4, we've got the live Q&A, which has the whole team there. And we're going to cover everything and anything you want to know. We'll do a bit of a recap, and then we'll look at what's any questions you've got. Maybe you've launched a community by then and you started to get into building it and you've got things come up. Great opportunity for you to come in there whilst the team are there to be able to help you out. So how does that sound? Does that sound pretty cool? I'm not looking at all the chat. Rakesh is in the chat. Hey. Okay, so let's get in with day 1, session 1, live number 1, however you want to describe it. And we're going to look at the basis of what community is, get you really thinking about, before we get into the physical planning of it, getting your mind around what you want your community to look like, how it's going to feel, what type of community and all of that. And I've done quite an in-depth presentation on this because it's like anything, when we plan stuff, if we get it right, then it works really well. Everything else flows really nicely. If we sort of skip the planning part, it's like having a business plan. If you haven't got a business plan or you haven't got a course outline plan or anything like that, and you just sort of get into creating, then you come across things. I wish I'd have thought of that. I should have added that. Or what am I going to do here? Or how's that going to work? And what happens is you get really muddled and jumbled with it. So today is really, really important one. You don't need to take notes on it if you don't want to. The replay normally goes in within, let's say, 2 to 4 hours. So where you signed it up for the funnel for the community workshop, the replay page will be available to you. We'll probably email out that link as well. So you will get access to it, and then you can pause and fast forward and all of that as you wish. But what I want you to do is sort of open your minds up, sit back, relax, but be attentive in your relaxation. Don't fall asleep, please. So sit back and relax and just open up and listen and watch what I'm talking about. And then we'll do the Q&A bit. And hopefully by the end of it, you'll have some real good instinct drawing you towards something. And therefore, that's what you can start to bite onto and move forward with. So are we all ready to get going? Let me know you're ready to get going. You are. Awesome. I love it. Right. Am I ready to get going? That's the question. Of course I am. Here we go. Let's get going. Right. Off I go. I might pop up again if I feel like it, but I might not. So, introduction to communities, and this is specifically for course creators, right? You have communities for all sorts of different things and all of that, but we're looking at it purely, you're here as course creators, so this is what we want to look at. So we're going to explore how this can transform your courses, boost engagement, and create more meaningful learning experiences and earn some money, which is really important. So today's agenda, why communities matter, the transformative power of connection. So we'll go through and I'll use some live examples as we go. We're going to look at busting some myths, so challenging and common misconceptions regarding objections, if you like, regarding communities and some things that may have held you back in the past from creating a community. We're going to look at community types, so finding your perfect model as to what that might look like for your first one. And remember, in Zenler, we can have multiple communities, but during the course of this particular workshop, I'd really urge you to maybe focus on one as a priority, because you might get overwhelmed trying to do multiples, but try and focus on one. And then benefits of opportunity. So what can communities do for you, your business and your courses? So that's what we're going to cover. So the power of community, enhanced learning. Communities transform passive consumption, so where they just go off and learn on their own, into active learning. And this can be done in a community via peer discussions and create collaborative problem solving. It creates shared experiences, so students connect over common challenges, building relationships that extend beyond just what's in your course material. Collective knowledge. Communities harness perspectives, creating a knowledge base greater than any individual could provide. And we've seen this in the Zenler Facebook group, where if we look at all of the knowledge dumped into that group over the years that's been running by hundreds of people, it's massive. And that's one of the reasons we say to people, if you've got a question, go and do a search in there, because somewhere, sometime, someone's probably asked it multiple times. So it's really powerful. So why communities matter now? So there's a couple of reasons here. So one of them is people feel quite lonely when they're learning stuff online. A lot of people now work for themselves, they work on their own, or when they're learning something, they do it in isolation rather than in a traditional classroom or boardroom type setting. So communities can provide a human connection that a lot of your students, whether they ask for it or not, will probably want and really enjoy. They take those isolation, those solitary moments, and that turns into opportunities for connection. Today's learners, they want more, and this is one of the real big things that I've been looking into recently. They want more than just content, right? Content can be found pretty much anywhere. There's nothing new that you can write to teach someone that isn't already publicly available on the internet. Right? We know this is not new. As course creators, what we do is we collate information, we put our individual spins on it and all of that, and we create our awesome courses. Right, that's brilliant. That's sort of step one as to why people will buy a course rather than just go off and Google and get loads of links. Right, I'm putting me back on because I'm getting all animated here and I'm getting really into this. So, and that's really important. But when you add in the community and the experience part within a course as well, right, that takes it to a whole level, because you can't Google that, right? You can't Google and get that feeling of a community unless you're actually in it. So they can go off and learn the how, like the course content splattered around in different places from different things. Well, we overcome that when we create our courses, and our brilliant courses we put together and put our spin on it, and they get that. So they get their learning in one place. But the community, it meets that need with their where they can share experience, build those relationships, and get the belonging to where they probably feel a little disconnected. So that one, and we get that hugely within the Zenler community, where people say that to us so often, that feeling of belonging, being involved, being included. It's not just about using Zenler, the platform, that the equivalent to your course, right? They come in because they love all of the workshops, the backwards and forwards, and the live stuff that we do as well. That's what makes Zenler unique. And we use our communities, and at the moment it's Facebook. By the end of this session, you'll have been invited to our own Zenler community on the tutorial site, where we're now starting to take people over there that are coming into workshops and stuff, and you'll see it going on over there more as well. So this is the learning flywheel. So they learn, students absorb course material, they grow, everyone advances together, they share, and this is part of the community aspect. They discuss insights and the questions, And during in a community, we can offer peers can offer encouragement as much as the instructor can. So that's other people within the community. So from content to community, how does it work? So we have our static content, our courses, which is one-way information we give to them, they digest. Then they go through an interactive learning, so discussion and application. And we have this we've got discussions within courses and we've got stuff like that. And people sometimes do lives, but it's different in an actual community setting. And then we give them the community experience, which is a collaborative and growth ecosystem. So it's wholly designed for people to do stuff together and to grow as a unit, whether that's day one that they're in there or day 1000 that they're in there. They collaboratively grow. And that's where content to community really starts to evolve and help you as a course creator. So the community impact on course creators. So if you have a community involved as a course creator and you're selling courses, what happens? You have you have a huge completion rate. So the average increase in course completion with active communities, and I'll stress active communities, okay? Just setting a community up, putting 5,000 people in there and not talking to them is not active. So a really active course, and this is a big struggle. We've talked about this before many times about one of the biggest things that we have to overcome is getting people to complete our courses so they get the objective that they've signed up for. They've got that one thing that they wanted, the promise of what the course will deliver. And a lot of people don't reach it, but by having a community, your completion rate will go up. 65% referrals, so of new students come from community member recommendations. So they come in a community, they've come through your course, they'll recommend outside of that community. 3.5 times more engagement. So higher engagement in courses with thriving communities. And you'll see throughout this presentation that there is a real strong leaning towards active communities, thriving communities, and all of that. And don't worry, because we're going to tell you how to achieve that. So if you're sitting there thinking, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to have time to do this or any of that, don't panic. We've got you back. We're going to help you do this. So myths, communities just happen. So if I build it, they will come. How many of you have heard that? I'm pretty sure you have. A lot of creators do believe communities form organically once people join. So just having people in a room does not make a community. Communities require, as the leader of the community, thoughtful design and ongoing cultivation. You have to be present as the leader of your own community. If you don't, one of two things will happen. Either they will just sit there and be a group of people doing nothing, all individual, and they're not a part of a community, or even worse, someone else will step up and take your place that's been pulled into that community. And I've seen that happen multiple times where the community leaders have sort of been absent, they're not really engaging, they're not really doing anything. And someone else that's come in and have gone, you know what, they're not doing anything. I'm going to come up and I'm going to inspire people. And they sort of end up running the community for you, which is insane, but it happens. So they need structure, facilitation, and consistent nurturing to thrive. Now, as I say, don't worry about that because we can make that happen. So more members equals a better community. Do we think that? Is that true? Is that not true? It's the age-old myth, quality over quantity. Small engaged communities can provide more value than large inactive ones. Okay, now it's up to you to decide what small and large is. I think Zenler's got a reasonably good size community. We're on 9.9k members in here at the moment. If you look at it against other groups where they've got 100k in there, but they're less active and we're really active. So you've got to weigh that up for yourself. But obviously, there's implications with the larger that the community gets, and we'll cover that in a minute. Meaningful connections, members need to form relationships, which becomes harder at scale. And then focus smaller communities enable more relevant, intimate conversations. So there is growth strategies coming, and we'll look at those. But sometimes it's not about the size of the community, it's about the quality of what's going on in there and the way that people are interacting with you. Communities are too time consuming. So they are an investment. They as they grow and as you develop as a leader in a community, maybe it's your first community and you're just starting out and it's all a little bit new. You will recognise that they can become self-sustaining with less of your time involved. It sounds a bit mad, but it does happen. So we can empower champions to share management roles within a community, admins, leaders, whatever you want to call them. Facebook calls them certain things. We're going to have different roles within our communities at the moment. We've got admin, but I know for sure, Rakesh has already mentioned that there's going to be different tiers of people coming into the community area. So we can start to think about what that would look like. But even if they're not assigned an actual official role, you can still assign them within a community anyway. So if you've got 100 people in there, you've got 5 people that are sort of your biggest fans ever and they want to help you out, then that's an opportunity for you to get them to step up to help you manage that community. And efficient systems, so creating processes that will scale that with growth. So as you grow your community, that process helps you manage that. And if you don't have these things, then you're really going to start to struggle because, especially with the leadership side, if you're trying to run a business, you're trying to have a life as well, and you're running a community of very active people, which you want, but they're the Zenler community, for example, we have people all over the world, right? They're 24/7. One person cannot manage that. It's absolutely impossible because, different time zones, you've got to sleep at some point, you've got to have a day off. So these are really important things. Communities are just groups of people. So we know they're not just groups of people. You can do all sorts of things with these. So they can be I'm not going to go too much into this, but they can exist. They can have them on all sorts of platforms. We're looking at the Zenler community platform because that's where we are, and we've released that. You can have online and offline elements of communities. There's all sorts of things. They can be structured around specific goals, and we come on to that in a little minute as to what I mean by that. So the core elements of successful communities. So a shared purpose. So a clear reason for members to connect within your community. Now, as a course creator, that's an easy one, right? They've come into your course. You've got course number one. You put them into a course community. The minute they're in there, they're all going through the same course. That's easy. Okay. We like communities can be very much a case of we create an environment where people feel really safe in share and they feel secure when they're sharing within your community, when they come into your community. We've all been in communities where we've felt they're a little toxic. People don't care whether you say anything, you get ignored by admins and all of that. But if you get a successful community, you will have members that come in and they feel really good and really secure within your community. They know you're leading it correctly, ethically, and properly. Mutual benefit. So sort of ties in with shared purpose. Value flows between all the participants, and then obviously active engagement, regular, meaningful interactions. So, and they will help you create a successful community. So types of communities, this is sort of an overview of different ones that I've thought of that maybe some of it will apply to where you are and what you're thinking about. Maybe it'll just open up your mind a little bit. So brand communities where they're connected to identity. These are sort of the raving fan type ones. You might go and join an EE group or whoever because you like the brand and you want to follow their journey, what's going on with them, keep up to date. Learning communities focused on educational growth. A lot of Zenler users will be creating learning communities. Practice communities where we're sharing professional expertise and stuff. Another great one for Zenler users and educators. Support communities where we can offer encouragement and help, and then interest where people are united by shared passions. So, for example, we might have a psychotic cat group because everybody is interested because they've all got the same psychotic type of cat. See, I knew I'd get it in there somewhere. Every single workshop we do, the psychotic cat has to come into it. Okay, so learning communities. What's the purpose? We enhance understanding through collaborative learning. Do stuff together. Members, students with shared learning goals. So it might be they're going through the same course. Activities, you can have study groups, peer reviews, and knowledge sharing. So a cat training bootcamp community with weekly problem solving sessions could be a really good example of a learning community. So communities of practice. So key characteristics, professional skill based. They focus on improving skills, practical application, peer-to-peer knowledge transfer. The benefits is the development acceleration. So when you go in through this and you're talking to another human being, sometimes it's explained a little bit easier, so people get to move through what they're learning quicker. Industry connections, if everyone's in the same industry, say you had a whole bunch of, let's say, mortgage advisors in the same room, sometimes you need to talk to other mortgage advisors. It becomes a really good way of connecting people. If you only deal with one type of business, for example, then that might be quite good for you. Current best practice sharing and career advancement opportunities for some. Not always, but if we look at some of the Zenler users that we know that have done quite well out of Zenler, they're helping people and training people to be qualified to enhance their careers. And to be able to do this through a supported community as well is a really great way of doing that. So support communities' purpose is to create safe spaces for members facing similar challenges to find understanding and encouragement. So they often feature moderated discussions, resource sharing, and sometimes professional guidance alongside peer support. And peer support is one that will come up frequently. We have it in spades within the Zenler community. So peer support, for those of you not quite sure what that means, is you've come into Zenler, it's your day one. We've got course creators that have been in there for 10,000 days. You come in, you ask sort of a introductory type question, you've not yet found your way around. They'll come in and answer and they'll help you. Right, that's them because they're still a course creator just like you. They'll come in and they'll just support you and help you out. So that's how that works. So health journey groups, this is good for parenting communities, career transitions, personal development cohorts. There's loads of different types of support communities you can have. So interest-based communities, I'm not going to go through all of these. You can read what they are. So creative pursuits, lifestyle choices, entertainment and activities. So if you're running courses or your business revolves around one of those, having an interest-based community, even if it's not directly focused on exactly what you do, but having people that are focused on the industry that you're involved in, an interest-based community is really good because at some point people may need your help, may need what you teach them and all of that. So they can work out really well. So brand communities, I'm going to skip over that one because I think I'm just going to lose everyone. But anyway, so implementation communities. So this is about learning the method, understanding the core principles. Then we look at applying those principles, so using the techniques in real situations and then discussing the results and refinements. So in that type of community where we have an implementation community, so it's sort of where you lot are going to go when we come out of here today. So we're going to say, come and join this Zenler community. Although it's not specifically for this workshop, that's going to be an implementation community for the next 3 or 4 weeks because you're going to learn this. You're going to go off. We're going to set you a little task to do at the end of it. And then you're going to come in and you're going to discuss your results, what happened, how you got on, and all of that before the next live session. So you'll get to experience a little bit of that. Transformation communities. So we hear about these all of the time. Health and fitness is probably one of the largest ones that people will know about. It's where they start. You take them through a structured journey towards change. Then they get their personal involvement, so celebrating milestones and transformations, and that's all done within the community. And then this allows for successful members to mentor newcomers. So, and it's not just health and fitness, it can be any type of development like that you're going through. Anything where you're going through some form of, or you're teaching or training someone, or your course is focused on some form of personal transformation. That can be a really great one for you to sort of get your head into and go, you know what, this will really fit well with this that I'm doing. I was going to just do lives, but you know what, a community and I can do lives into my community will be a really great solution for this. and cut down what your admin side of things as well. So hybrid communities. So this is where we have a combination of both. So we might have a learning community, but it's also a support community, and we have that in Zenler. So we have both. So it might be a case of that you've got a couple of these have sort of merged into each other. As long as you're clear on how you're managing it, it's absolutely okay. You do get a big boost. So when you're doing these types of communities, but specifically on this one, the engagement base, when online communities include offline elements. So that's an example of a hybrid community. It's online and offline. We've talked about this at Zenler, maybe running some in-person events at some point. That would be a really great example of how that would work. More meaningful connections in hybrid communities because you have a wider scope of people coming in for a couple of different reasons. And you do tend to get a higher member retention when they have different formats running through the community. As long as you don't confuse it and you're very clear on what's happening, you can't set up a new community every time you want to do a new thing because it just becomes overwhelming and you end up with a load of dead communities, loads of the same people just in different communities, whereas really you want them all in one or two or three maybe places, and then they can maybe branch off into sub communities and work out like that. And we'll cover that in sessions 4, 5, and 6 when we do the community builds, how you can separate out if you want to, but keep them still within a main community and keep their feeds running through. So that's how hybrid communities could potentially work. So community time horizons, so fixed term cohorts, these can really well. We sort of launched on this a little bit on a day with Zen, and when we started looking at doing challenges and stuff like that. So setting start and end dates. You can have seasonal communities reoccurring but time bound. So where you run it for a while and then you take them out and you shut it down. I've done those before on live trainings and it works really, really well. It also sometimes separates it out from other things that are going on. If it's very, very hyper focused, you just want them there to focus on that one thing, then that can be really, really good. And then continuous engagement model, which is the one that most people recognize and want to get involved in because that's the one that will give you the biggest long-term gain. So community size considerations. So intimacy versus scale. So large communities, you do get broad reach, and you can have specialised subgroups. We'll talk about that, as I say, in session 4, 5, 6. Medium communities, there's offers normally a balance of activity and connection. And in the smaller communities, sort of under 100, really deep relationships, high engagement. You can achieve that in larger communities. When you get to really large, 1,000 plus, it's a bit more difficult. But it doesn't mean it can't be done. But then you've got to remember you're also reaching out with your team. So your deeper connections might come from having in a large community with 1,000, you might have 9 people helping you manage that. And therefore that still falls within the small community relationship building, but it's just not you doing it. So it can happen. It's just you and David and I have found this where, there are people that levitate much more towards David and people that levitate towards me. A lot of them levitate away from me as well, which is fine. But people will sort of go towards the people that they feel they've got that better relationship with. And we have that with Manmeet as well and Rakesh and, everyone else on the education team. So the community formats, so text-based video gatherings and in-person events. These are some of the ideas that we can look at and we can start to think about how does this work? When we do text-based, image-based stuff, it can be seen at any time, at any point, nobody cares. They're not bothered if you posted it 6 hours ago, 5 hours ago, whatever. If you stuck it in featured, they'll look at it when they look at it and it covers sort of everywhere. The video stuff, really, really great. Everybody loves jumping on video. It's one of the reasons why Zenler has integrated Zoom so heavily into its platform because video, we know, is live video as well, is really important. Getting people onto Zoom calls like this where we can do different stuff, that really does help with the personal side of it. And then there's the in-person stuff as well, which a lot of you that are localized businesses, and I know there's a few that are in Zenler, that are training just online and offline, but they're doing it in the same sort of area. That's where they want to keep it as a hybrid of that type of learning. The in-person events could potentially work quite well for you. So community structure types. So centralized, which is leader driven with a clear authority structure. Decentralized, which is distributed leadership with multiple facilitators. Hub and spoke, which is a central core with semi sort of independent subgroups. They sort of almost manage themselves. And then peer to peer, which is a flat structure where all members have an equal standing. So a lot of time you will start with peer to peer, where you just go, right, I'm setting my community up. There's maybe 20 people in my course, so I'm going to get them to come in. And you know what, there's not enough to really start to put anything else in right now. But at that point, you're looking for someone that's going to come in and be a helper for you and a facilitator, maybe even a co-admin. And then as you go further up that chain, you start to realize as the community grows that you need actually it needs to be way more structured, and because otherwise it's going to get out of control. So you tend to go through most of these starting at the bottom, moving up over time, and that time is really down to how active you are and um, how enthusiastic you are at getting people into your communities. And if you're really hardcore and driven, that could happen within the space of 4, 6, 8 weeks, or it could happen over a period of a year or two. So it really does depend. So benefits for course creators. I don't know if you can see that at the bottom there, Cam. So with the communities, this is what happens. Our student satisfaction goes up, our course completion rates go up. We get less support. So with the community, when we've got one of the reasons David and I were very first got involved with Zenler was because support was overwhelmed with just usability issues, questions all of the time. And they were coming into the group, they were coming into tech support and all of that. And it became quite difficult for the tech support team to focus on their role, which is tech stuff. So we got involved to help reduce that. And by using the community, the support load has gone down. And I'd say quite substantially. So over the 5 years that we've been involved. Word of mouth marketing for your community and your courses goes up, and then course feedback, which is really important, is very, very active within a good community where people feel empowered to be able to come in and share what they want to with you. So this leads to increased student success, which is of course what we want. Accountability, peers provide motivation to continue. So if they're in a community, they're floundering around a little bit, they're going for a course, they're struggling, maybe you've got 6 modules, they're stuck on module 3. They've tried to reach out to you and you've tried to help them, but sometimes it needs reframing. So the same answer can be given, but in a slightly different way. And therefore, one of their peers has stepped in to help motivate them and help them through. That helps them move through that whole student journey in your courses. We can use our communities for celebrations, for achievements, acknowledge people, recognise what they've done within their courses. Yeah, we've got certifications and all of that. And at some point within Zenler, we're going to get gamification into the communities as well. So that's going to be a really great way of being able to automate that and acknowledge people what they're doing and what's going on within that. We can have support within the community, so questions get answered far quicker within a community setting. People feel it's less formal than having to type an email or whatever they need to do, or wait for the weekly live session that you're running as part of the course. If they've got a community, they'll put it in there and they know that you'll get back to it when you possibly can. And everybody else gets to see it as well. And then seeing others succeed provides role models and inspiration. So it really helps drive your students through, especially if you're doing an evergreen course where people just come in when they want to come in. There's no cohort fashion. Someone might be just a few days ahead of them or a few weeks ahead of them, and it's really helping them move forward. So this leads to reduced creator workload. So you as course creators, it reduces your workload. How does that happen? So before a community, creators answer every single question that comes up regarding what you do. Support feels overwhelming or can feel overwhelming, where people are asking not only about how do I do this, how do I do that, what does that mean, where do I get this, where do I get that, but also how do I log in, how do I access that, and it just goes on and on and on at times. It also, you can have repetitive explanations. So if you take people in on the 1st of January, they ask you a question, someone else comes in on the 10th of January, they've got the same question. You haven't had time to update what it is that needs to be updated. And often there's one-to-one troubleshooting going on. So that's before you have your community. Now, with a thriving community, your peers do a lot of the work for you. So a lot of your community members will answer a lot of the questions. We see it in the Zenler community all of the time, where they're sitting there and they're going, someone will ask before any one of the team can even jump on it. Someone's gone, do this. You know, there's loads of them that we're really, really grateful for that come in and help out. We don't pay them to do that. We don't prompt them to do that. They do it because they feel they're part of the community and they want to give back and they want to help people. There can sometimes be collective troubleshooting. I've seen this happen where people have a little bit more of a complicated setup and they're trying to work out, sort of talk through it, how it works. So as a group, I've seen people where they've pitched in and they've started asking stuff and it's been backwards and forwards and they've come to a conclusion. So it's helped them out. The knowledge base develops. We talked about doing a search in the Facebook group. Go back, it goes back for years. The only caveat on that is just check that what they're talking about, if it's system based, that it's not out of date, the information. It would have been right at the time, but you know, things have moved on. And the creator focuses on high value input. So rather than just going in and answering all of the basic repetitive stuff like they would normally do, you know, they can go off and they can put really important stuff in there, you know, that's really going to help develop their business and support their students much, much more and give more value to them. So the enhanced course evolution, so the continued feedback loop, communities provide real-time insights into what's working and what's not, allowing for quick course improvements. So if you just launch a new course, something's going on, you put it out there, you can guarantee, because we get it as well with Zenler, when we put something new out, people are very, very helpful in saying, this bit doesn't work, or that bit doesn't work, or how does that work, or can it do this, can it do that? And you will get the same where people go in and go, what's this? What's that? I haven't got that. And so you'll get almost immediate feedback from people that will allow you to improve what you put out there. If you put a poll out on email to people, 99% of people will ignore it. If you stick something in a community, you've just launched it, put it all into a community, they're going to be flowing in there to go, oh, did you know this? Did you know that? That's right. That's good. That's missing. And all of that. You can discuss discussions with your unmet needs and knowledge gaps that can inspire new modules or entire courses. Really, really great opportunity for people to, and we get lots of inspiration from all of you that are in the Zenler group, because if somebody asks the same question multiple times, we actively go and look and go, why are they asking that question? How can we make that so it's easier for people to find that answer? Do we need to do a micro workshop, put it onto a day with Zenler? Do we need to get it into the live support desk? Do we need to cover it in office hours? Does it need its own sort of pop-up, or does it grant a wider workshop? So that really is a massive one, that you can feed ideas off of your community that are really helping you without probably knowing it, giving you ideas for new stuff to come up. And then community win showcase, real world application of your teaching, providing powerful social proof. And social proof is something we're all looking for. Of course, you can't just, if someone puts into a secret community, you're so awesome, this is brilliant, it's transformed my life. You can't screenshot that and put that out on social media, of course. But what it will do is it will inspire people that are in your community already, because they've put it within that particular area. If they put it in a public community, well, that's down to be indexed, right? So that's on them, as long as they're aware that's the case. But also it shows exactly what's working for people when they're going through your courses. And that will really help when they're shouting about that within your communities. So revenue opportunities. So within a community, we can create revenue opportunities. So through membership tiers, maybe exclusive content in secret or private groups. Again, we're going to cover that on weeks 4, 5, and 6. And advanced offerings, so higher price groups, courses, or coaching programs for community members that want deeper support, exclusive content, create community only workshops, resources, and events. And we're looking to do some of that stuff as well. Membership tiers, so you could offer different levels of community access at various price points from free to premium. Right, you have complete control over all of this. And when the community feature was launched, we showed you how to charge for a community, and we're going to do that again. So you're fully aware of how to do that. So there's lots of revenue opportunities within a community that are really, they're not spammy. They're really, really good. So look out for when we cover those further in this particular workshop. So business sustainability, so we get higher retention, communities create ongoing value beyond the initial course completion. So higher retention. So especially if they've gone into a top end course, they're paying a monthly fee to be involved within that course, or within, it's an ongoing learning, or the community is part of that course. You know, they're going to stay because they've done the course, but they want to continue within that community. Word of mouth growth, so satisfied community members actively refer others. It's one of the ways that Zenler's grown through the referral program. But of course, they've come in via our community. And how many people say the community is so awesome? It's one of the best communities that I'm involved in. Lots of people do that. And if they're willing to do it inside the community, you bet your bottom dollar in the right circumstance, they'll do it outside the community. You get student loyalty, so members become attached to a community, not just the content. So if you were just in it for the Zenler platform, you probably wouldn't be on this call today. You probably wouldn't come into any of our workshops. You probably wouldn't even be in the Facebook group. Yet we've got nearly 10,000 members in there. So people do like to feel included and part of a community, irrespective of what it's connected with. And if that community is led correctly and you've got really decent people behind it, and it's a great service as well, like just like your courses would be absolutely awesome, they'll come for the course, they'll stay for the community. And that can lead to reoccurring membership models, which provide you with a more predictable income stream. So the student experience enhancement, so content is consumed, basic information, community discussions, so they can go into a community, they can process this information and get clarification. Then they can do the application, so implement with guidance via community support, and then the transformative growth of whatever it is that you're teaching them, which will create the lasting change through that community. So just digest that for a minute, what that means for you. And this is quite an important one. So everybody that has courses will understand this first part, the content consumption, that where they'll go through at least one or two of your modules to begin with. But when you start getting deeper into these via your community, and not only you doing it, but also the other members of the community, they're coming in, they're asking questions, they're getting clarification, they're going, look, I'm nervous about implementing this, and people are giving them emotional support and all of this type of thing. And then suddenly that moment happens where they've done those 3 steps and it's transformed into whatever it is. It might be bathing their psychotic cat, and they're so frightened. They've got all the gear, they've set it all up, they've got it all ready, they've got the cat, they've got their big gloves on and all of that stuff. And they're just at that point of implementing it, and they're wavering and they're frightened, and they're like, and somebody goes, it'll be okay. Just go off and do it, and then message us back in 20 minutes when you're done. And then they come back 20 minutes later and go, you know what? That was awesome. The cat was happy. I've still got all my eyes, and happy days. I can now go back next time and do it a little bit more confidently. That's the power of a decent community. So in a community, we can create memorable experiences, and it really should be an experience for someone to be in a community, not just a chore. So we can do milestone celebrations, so marking achievements. It creates a really good emotional high point, especially for the person that's been tagged in that, or been notified, or been told, oh, you've just received this, you've just completed that, you've just got that, you've just achieved this. It's awesome. People love that. And why wouldn't they? We all like to know that we're achieving stuff. Right, it doesn't matter who you are, how old you are, what you've been through. getting recognition is a really high level type of thing. So, and we need to remember that our students are there and they're not just there to suck the knowledge and go. They want to feel recognised and heard and noticed, and that you've made a difference for them, and that it's really impacted them. And we want to let them know that we appreciate them coming in and trusting us to learn whatever it is we're doing for our courses. So celebrations like that are really, really fantastic. Group challenges, so shared struggles and victories build stronger bonds than individual learning. We know that. And then special events. So we can create surprise events, experiences, stories that members tell about others. And we've done this we do pro user interviews, we do all sorts of stuff. Today with Zenler, we have guest people come on that are not Zenler educators to do exactly that. And we share that within the community, in the Facebook community. Now, this is something we really need to get our head around. So the difference between a community versus an audience, right? So an audience is one to many. It's me at the moment, right? I'm not looking at the chat. I'm not really interacting massively with you. David is, but I'm talking me to you. You're the audience at this particular moment in this presentation. Okay. So I'm talking to you and helping and instructing you. It will switch and it will change when we open up the cameras and get everybody on, and then it will become a two-way. So it'll become many to many interaction where we can that will be the community sense. It's very much passive consumption. So people are just taking it in. They're taking that information in with no real feedback going back. The creator creates all the value. So the instructor gives all of the value. There's no feedback from anybody that's participating. It's a transaction-based relationship, which is great. And the focus is on delivering the content, the core of what it is that you teach. So that's an audience. So they're people that are watching, they're listening, they're taking it in, and all the hard work's done by the person creating. A community, on the other hand, is the many-to-many interaction. So A talks to B, talks to C, talks to A, talks to D, talks to E, talks to E, and so on and so forth. There's active participation. So to be an active member within a community, to get the most out of any community, you have to be active. So it's not a passive sport being in a community, it's very much active. Members create value for each other. We see this all the time. People putting posts up. How do I do this? I've just done that. Can I share this? Can I do that? There's an ongoing relationship. If you've been in the Zenler community for more than 2 or 3 months, there'll be names that you start to feel familiar with. And that's where you start to build that relationship going forward. You might not directly be speaking to them just yet or have interacted with them, but you're starting to build that relationship by getting to recognize people within your community. And it's focused on connection and growth for the individuals. So it's really big difference between the two. And we want this, right? That's what we're aiming for, to get all of those big growth numbers, retention numbers, completion numbers, and all of that. With this, it will be much, much harder if all we ever do is do that. You can do a combination, but you need to have been around the block a few times to do that. Fortunately, I've been around a few blocks. So, community site. Consider your goals. What specific outcomes do you want for yourself and your students? Assess your resources. How much time and energy can you realistically commit? And this has to be something you can commit to pretty much each week, right? If you get this wrong, you're going to end up in trouble. What matters most to you about how people interact? And to be really poignant as we go through this workshop. This is really important. We're Zenler, we're very, very, very firm on our transparency, that everybody is respectful to everybody. And we will remove people who are not, irrespective of who they are, because that's a massive core value for Zenler and the team. So you have to be really clear about that, because you are setting the tone for your community, right? And you have to do it from the get-go. And then what type of community would best serve your specific students? So support and implementation, a learning, a brand focused, whatever it may be. So we can look at different things, and this is sort of the level of importance that they're at. So the most important, of course, is the student needs. And look at your own strengths and what you can put in. Look at the subject matter. Understand your time available and the technical comfort. To be honest, when you're using the Zen community, you're not on your own with it anyway. So that's not going to be a massive consideration anyway. But the top one here is the student needs. Student always comes first. So starting simply, begin with the basics. Start with a simple platform you're comfortable using. Well, we've got that with Zenler, of course. Nurture early adopters, so give extra attention to your first members. So if you're starting off with 10 or 15 people in there, then it's really important that we look after those. We make them feel really special. It doesn't matter how small the group is. It's really important that we do that early, so they know the tone, they know how you want to manage and grow your particular community, and they feel really great being in there. Gather feedback often, ask what's working and what they need. We do this. We often run polls. What are you looking for? What would you like the next workshop to be on, etc., etc., etc. Is there anything we can help you with? David's often putting stuff like that in there, and it's really important. Some people just give us that feedback, which is great. And then grow thoughtfully. So add features and expand as success proves your concept. So common first community challenges. So the crickets challenge, no one is posting or engaged, and it can feel like speaking to avoid. Moderation balance, finding the right level of involvement without becoming overwhelmed or controlling. The value demonstration, helping members see the community's benefit beyond the course content itself, and the technical hurdles, getting everyone comfortable with the platform and the participation process. So the critical success factors are demonstrated value, so clear benefits that member can see. That's why they're going to get involved, right? The psychological safety, so make sure they know it's a safe environment under your leadership to be able to share exactly how they want to share within the rules of what you do. Regular engagement, consistent activity and interaction, and a clear purpose, a really clear understanding of why the community exists. If you don't know why your community exists, you need to work out why it exists. I've given you probably 50 reasons here as to why communities are absolutely awesome for the success of not only you as a course creator, but also for your students. So free versus paid communities. So free communities, wider accessibility. So people will just come in, there's no barrier to entry. Easier member acquisition, lots more people will come into something free. You can feed into a paid community if you wish. Paid for community, higher member engagement, sometimes. More serious participants, sometimes. Sustainable business model, of course, and can justify more resources. There's arguments for both and a combination of both. Obviously, we have free communities. At Zenler, we want to give you free access to as much educational support as you can get. Not everybody wants to do that. Some people want to go into a higher tier of membership, into a paid community. Doesn't always mean you'll get higher member engagement. A lot of that will come down to how you operate it and what you do within that community. So the engagement ladder, we've all seen these, the lurkers, observing but not yet participating, so be aware of those. The occasional contributors, so responding to others' posts. The regular participants, initiating conversations and sharing. We're very fortunate in Zenler. We get a lot of people that are regular participants. They come up, you see it, there's a little thing assigned to them. And then, of course, we've got our community leaders, and they're not the admins like David and myself and Rakesh and Manmeet. These are people, just normal members that are coming in, and they are helping lead the community by sharing and engaging and helping everybody else. But they also help shape the culture of how the community operates. So it is an important one. So creating a community flywheel, so active membership. So we need engaged members to participate regularly. We need community growth. So satisfied members invite other members. So that's really important. Satisfied members have to be happy there. If they're not happy in your community, they probably won't engage. They'll probably leave, and they most definitely won't invite anybody else. We've got interactions, value creation. So interactions generate collective benefits, and then emotional connection. Members develop belonging and loyalty. So potential pitfalls for communities. So things you need to be aware of. Create a burnout. So if you try and do everything yourself, you'll probably get absolutely knackered, especially if you've got a mid to large community running. So that's why bringing help in and going back a few slides, it's really important to get that structure in your mind as to how you're going to get people to help you out. If you've got an unclear purpose, members don't understand why they should even participate. Over moderation. I see this way too often. Too many rules, it stops genuine interaction. Often when you have a very diverse group, in Zenler, we've got people from loads and loads of different countries. A lot of people don't have English as their first language as well. And if we put in way too many rules and we try and stifle the way that people interact in there, it could stop people being who they are and giving it their best and really trying to be genuine and helpful and being a good community member. So over moderation, I would say, is a really important one to keep at the front of your mind. And then the ghost town effect. So the empty community, which obviously means something's really going wrong with what's happening there. So launch tips, and we're going to cover this more as we go through the workshop, but just some things for you to think about. Seed with founding members. So start with a core group who understand your vision. If they're on board, then everybody else coming in will be on board. Schedule early activities. So plan engaging events for the first few weeks of launching your community. Make sure you don't just wing it. Have some stuff planned. Create welcome rituals. I really like this. So establish specific ways to greet new members. In fact, we were talking about this in Zenler today. Actually, it came up in conversation today. We don't do that welcome thing anymore. Why don't we do that? Oh, we should do that. That's really nice. That's really great. How are we going to welcome? And the whole discussion went on about how we do that. So it's not only for brand new communities, it's also for established communities. It's good to go back over these things. And then reward early participation. So highlight contributions. So getting started, define clarify the purpose and benefits of your community for both you and your members. Choose your model. Select a community site that aligns with your course goals and student needs. Student first. And then start small and simple. Begin with the basics that you can manage well rather than trying to do everything. Don't try and go, well, I've got 10,000 people in my courses. I'm going to invite everyone into it. And then suddenly you've got 8,000 people in your community and you're overwhelmed. If you've got that many students, why not just pick 100 or maybe 50 that you know really, really well and go, look, I'm setting this community up. Can you come in and just help me found it and get used to it? And, then you can start. And then some of those will become moderators for you and maybe even admins, and they'll help you as you scale up. So things that we can talk about in a minute, and we can discuss. So what type of community do you think? And you can put this in the chat, actually. Why not? Put it in the chat. What type of community interests you most? So share which community model seems most aligned with where you are right now and why. Don't just put support. Why support? What challenges do you anticipate? So we can look at some of those. If you've got any of those questions, we'll answer those in a minute for you. And then what's the one action you're going to take today to move towards building your community here on Zenler? Right, so that's my presentation done. David can come back on when he's ready. I can see there's bundles of chat going on. So hopefully you've found that really useful. I can't see all of the chat. David, you can unfeature me if you wish, please. So did everybody find that useful? First step, identify people who have been engaging with me. Yes, useful, excellent. Now, I did say there was a lot that I was covering in there, and there is a lot that we've covered. This is the foundation of building a community. There's so many different types and variations and what you can do, but there was a really strong theme running through that, and that is keeping it really, really focused on, firstly, your students, making sure they have the very best experience possible, because they will go off and market for you. And if you're unsure, we're running this workshop over 12 sessions. You can come in and ask, right? If you're unsure of something, we're here to help you, right? This is not our first rodeo. We've been here a little while. We know what we're doing. So if you are struggling, you're nervous, you're a little bit worried about it, that's what this is for, right? This is to help you out. Useful. This was awesome, Kevin. So detailed and clear. Thank you, Ellie. Right. People can come on if they wish. I'm going to take a breath for a minute. And then if you've got any questions, anything you want to talk about a bit more, then by all means ask away. And we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, that was very good, Kevin. You covered a hell of a lot there. So there's a lot to take in on this. So remember, guys, there's going to be a replay, so you can go and pause it and have a look through. But what Kevin's done there is giving you a really big overview of what's happening this whole workshop series. So you don't have to feel too overwhelmed because he's broken it down into these different lessons that might well be shorter. And you'll see us doing things and we'll give you things out as well. And of course, Kevin's going to be here the whole time. So if things collate to what he's just told you, a ton of stuff, he'll chime in and sort of refer to that as well. So we want to make it really easy for you to start getting your communities going. And as Kevin already mentioned, we're going to have a community where you can go, so we can actually test this live. If you think about it, you're all guinea pigs. Okay? So you can come in and you can post in there and you can try the features that come in, because you know live chat's going to be coming in during this series as well. So we're going to investigate that going forwards. So yeah, very nice, Kevin.
Yeah. And as I say to you all that come in on these workshops, you experience how we run. So we run the workshops. We're like you, the admin, right? So we run these workshops and you experience it as your student would. Right. And this is really important for people using Zenler as a platform, because when you go into the community, we're going to send you the link and invite you into it, but you'll see it not as an admin, but you'll see it as a user. So when you set your community up, that's what they'll see, right? When you set it up as an admin, you'll see slightly different stuff because you have more functionality and control, of course. Right, so it's really important, and I say this with courses. We say it all the time with the lives, the webinars, all of that. You've got to look at it from both sides to be able to really get people to understand it and know how it operates. Because when you do that, it takes all of the tech stress away. You don't have to worry about it, and then you can purely focus on just doing what you want to do with your students and your objectives, your content, and all of that. You've got to worry about all the niggly other stuff that's going on.
Yeah, for sure. And remember, you got the added benefit because you're going to be on the live with us, because you're going to be part of the community, because you're going to be putting things into the community. We're going to be showing you from our point of view. See, so you're going to see it as admin as well. So it's like having a split screen, which is good for you, especially when we start using things like that and stuff. So we have to be careful, obviously, and never show email. So that's one thing. So I think we've got some questions, Kevin. Ellie's here. Hello, Ellie.
Hey, Ellie.
Ellie's saying that with this kind of approach, she takes a sort of a shotgun approach. Yeah, he just dives straight in, which is great, but planning is key, really. I'm going to allow you to unmute. So if you want to unmute.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Kevin, this was fabulous. I really need to go
Thank you.
back through and clarify my purpose and my how I want to engage, what my students want. I think that is really important to do. I did do in the last, I don't know, there was a workshop about communities before
Yep.
with Rakesh, and I did set up a free community and invited my email list, and I go one person.
Yeah.
So I haven't really done very much with that. I've played around with posting a couple of things myself, but it's really exciting. The live you guys did on the Zenler Facebook group about being able to put videos in and being able to have a chat and all that stuff is amazing.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to get started. I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah, but that's the functionality, that's the nuts and bolts of it, right? How to put a video in and all that bit is sort of after. where we are right now is like you say, you've got one person in your community. It's great being able to do videos, but if there's only one person, right, that's you need to grow that, right? And
Right.
what's probably happened is you've put that email out, they've looked at it and they've not understood what their question will be, why do I want to join your community? And you haven't articulated that because you don't know. All you know
Right.
is you want them in the community because you've now got that feature, right? So that's why we have to get super, super clear on understanding, identifying, and articulating properly why does this community exist? What's in it for them? Why does anybody want to come into this community? I know why you want them in there, right? As the course creator, you want them in there because you want to talk to them. Ultimately, you want to sell them more courses and support them to help them achieve their objective, right? But they don't know. They've done your course, and the next thing they've got an email going, "Hi, it's Andy. Come and join my community. It's going to be awesome." So what?
Right. Well, I have a Facebook community that I did a free challenge and I got quite a
Yeah.
bit of engagement with, but then once the challenge was over, I didn't continue
But
keeping that engagement. So I think it is important um, that I also wrote in here that I want to identify people who have in the past engaged high engagement and invite them sort of first and get that connection going.
yeah, one of the next lives that we're doing, I think it's 7 or 8, is about community engagement,
Hmm.
and we're going to be really diving into that quite deeply as to what that means, different ways that we can keep people and the momentum going and flowing through. You know, because we don't
Right.
need to. If you look in the Zenler group, and I use it as a good example because it's an active group, like we don't have to go in there and stoke anything. In actual fact, we sometimes have to hold posts back because it's too busy. So you can do it, it can be done, right? And there's nothing special about Zenler, as in they don't have a magic tool that makes an active community. What they have is people that are dedicated to turning up and doing certain things to make people want to participate. And you can
Right.
absolutely do that on your own. There's no reason why you can't do that on your own, right?
Right.
I,
The
I,
the the thing that I think will be really interesting is you at some point you're going to do like the launch the community.
Mhm.
And so, starting to just gear people up and get them excited about this community and getting off of Facebook because a lot of people do want to get off of Facebook.
And it's also the other thing about community. Well, remember, it wasn't launched that. It's quite new, and you'll see that Zenler is plowing features. Um, One of the biggest ones coming up in the next few live chat, and
Right.
when that goes in, it sort of changes because it's completely different. Like, okay, so you've got Facebook groups, but you've also got this kind of Telegram, WhatsApp live chat coming in to the same community area that you manage. I mean, it's truly awesome what you do. Plus all the videos that are going to be in there, and then later on they want to introduce streaming straight into it as well. So all of these things put together make it really powerful. When I first saw it, Rakesh was talking about, you could actually run it as a course. You could run it in a course into the community. I was very skeptical because I just didn't feel that there was enough instant access, so you couldn't stream in there and things like this. So you could be sending people to other. But now, at the stage it is now, absolutely 100%. Everything could be run in the community. And although, I know Kevin was mentioning, if you've got people helping you, community doesn't have to be that time consuming. But initially, like everything, initially time consuming because you're going to need to nurture people, get people in, find the right people like you, Ellie, to actually come in and maybe moderate for you. As an instructor
Right.
role, they could moderate the group. So those kind of things is exciting, and we're really excited about it. And that's why this whole workshop series and the fact we wanted to launch and get you guys to come into the community to see it. But it's also familiarity, isn't it? Because you might have a ton of people in your Facebook group, but they're not coming into your community. And you're frustrated because you want people to start coming into the community. The problem is that people are familiar with it. So they're familiar with Facebook, so they'll stay there until you give them a reason not to. When you give them a reason not to, like Kevin was mentioning about actually doing things and how you can encourage engagement, then they've got a real reason. So if you're, like you said yourself, you just said it, Ellie, I got real engagement when I did my challenge and then it dropped afterwards. Well, maybe if you'd done that challenge on the community, if it was available then, you would have got that engagement going. And if you carried on like 5 minutes a day, just posting in there new things, then you would have got all this stuff and people realized, actually, you're here more than you're there. I'd stay here. And then you've got all the people that don't want to be on Facebook come over as well. So it's, yeah, it's going to be exciting. Can't wait to hear all your journeys. Pauline's also put, Kevin, she put in here, and I've got Scott. So Scott is saying that he's got a hybrid approach for his communities as well. So learning communities are defined by specific interest that has elements of support during the early time, practice community to further their journey. So I guess Scott's asking if that can be done itself.
Sorry, what was that? Say that again. You cut out a little bit.
So Scott's is a hybrid. He's got a kind of hybrid approach. Scott, maybe are you here? Pop up. No, he's not here.
Yeah, I've got it in the chat now. Yeah, I mean, as I said, often people will have combined communities where they sort of morph into each other for a little while. So, for example, you might be running a challenge rather than setting up its own community. You might just want to run it through your main one, and then when it filters off, it's still you've got your main stuff running through. So there's lots of ways of doing that. You don't have to set up a new one. I mean, on Zenler, we're lucky. In a way, we're lucky. In a way, we're not lucky, right? We can set up to 20 communities, right, in Zenler, in your accounts. Now, that sounds really great, but if you set up 20 communities, that's 20 communities you've got to manage, right? So I actually think it's probably too much for most people to handle that.
Yeah, and also, right, but that's not just this whole picture, because you can set up 20 communities, whether they be public, private, or secret, okay? Now, we're going to explain to you later what all these things are, but you can set up a community with every course you've got, right? Imagine that. Imagine you've got 100 courses. Imagine you've got 1,000 courses and you set up a community for each of those courses. Unmanageable. We at Zenler know this ourselves. You know how many courses we've got on the tutorial site, right? We had lots of communities with those courses. I've removed them all because it's unmanageable. It's better for us to have it all in one community and a discussion point on workshops in general than it is to put it across all of them. And there's a knock-on effect of doing that, because it means that one community is going to get a lot more engagement, because everybody from different courses are going to be asking questions. As long as they're specific to which course, we can answer. So this is the way we're thinking of this as well, because we can't, you know, I spend a lot of time on the Facebook group, as do the rest of the team, and we don't want to split the time between the two. So as many people as we get to come over to communities, Zenler communities, it means we can spend more time there and service you better.
Yeah,
so, yeah,
and it might turn out that, you know, in the next year or so, the Facebook community that we've got right now might turn into just a gateway. It might just be that people join it and we go, this is not an active community. If you want the active Zenler community, click here and it takes them straight to the Zenler one, right? So we just filter it through because Facebook's really good for promotion. So it might just be, rather than shut it off, we just go, nobody's active here. They're all in here now. Off you go.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
Or shift it over to the public, to the public page, telling people where the community is, because we know, like, a private Facebook group, it's not going to be indexed by Google, and we want our stuff indexed. We've got so many posts going out, but also we need a private safe area, and that's what Zenler gives you. Zenler's much more flexible because it gives you public, private, and secret, plus a community driven by the actual course as well, which is discussion. So we're going to talk about all that anyway, but it's so flexible, and with all the rest of the stuff they've it's crazy good. Got Rakesh here. He can
Hey,
say,
John, you all right?
"Hi, John." Hmm. Need to unmute you. Thank you, Ellie.
Hi guys,
How's it going?
it's good. When I saw 2 p.m. BST, I was like, oh no, it's 6 o'clock again. But no, it's not.
You got your Tumblr?
I do actually, and later on this week I'm gonna get with the shirt and the tumbler. Yeah, that was beautiful. Thank
John
you.
got some swag.
Oh, nice. I'm going to send you my old T-shirt, John. You'll be like my fourth cousin.
Actually, talking about communities, one of the communities I want to build, I'm not sure how exactly I'm going to populate it, but it's for people who are interested in AI. So I'm getting my AI certification as well. Gonna apply it to boomers who own businesses that need to sell them. And I'm thinking, okay, how do I reach those people? How do I get them there? What do we talk about? So this is very opportune. This whole series on building communities. And the other one, actually, David, I don't know if you remember years ago where I spoke about having a hillside in Costa Rica that we're getting people to come and build their places on. So there's a post going out to a bunch of ukulele players to say, hey, are you guys interested in talking about exploring, designing how to build a safe, welcoming community of artists and musicians? And so that's going to be the theme of the other community. We'll see how these go.
Oh, that'll be good.
Why
That'll be
not?
good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've not got into the actual planning of it. That's going to be on Wednesday. David's doing that one. When we're getting into a bit more of the nitty gritty. Today was really about opening your minds up. I said right at the beginning, just come in with an open mind as to how the possibilities of what we can do. And I think we've sort of covered that quite well today. It's certainly got people thinking as to what can be done. And the thing is, you do reach a critical mass in a community where it starts to sort of build its own momentum, but it doesn't mean you can ever walk away from it.
I'm wondering if you guys are going to talk about, and you may already have spoken about it, the fact that building a community, it takes a lot of hard work at first, because most people will come to the community to consume content
Mhm.
and not share. And I've tried a few times to build communities and to have the people talking to each other. I mean, that's when you know that the community is really taken off, is when people are talking together and contributing their own stuff. Most of the time, though, it's the originator has to create a lot of content and make sure the people show up and keep them engaged. And we probably need a couple of crazy first followers. That's when the community starts building.
Yeah, I think Ellie was talking about that the same. She's got people that really contribute, and she find those in there. But I mean, if you're like, if we look at the our Facebook, and that's a good community. We know that everybody helps each other. It's a really nice place. We all meet up. We know a lot of you to talk to, and we know that you're all helping each other. So for us, we just got to get you over there, because we know once you're over there, you're just going to carry on the momentum because you're all nice people. So I think finding one or two good people that are backing you, almost like your super fans, like Kevin was saying, is the way forward, because then they'll be happy to, you can obviously give them now and again, but they'll follow you because they follow what you're doing and they like you. And I think if you do that, it's just connecting.
I'll make you right on what you said, though, John, 100%. And I'll tell you exactly why that happens, right? Because I've seen it more times than I can count, right? People do come in and consume until they get value, right? Once they get value and understanding, they're willing to support others. But what tends to happen is the community, and I'll use the term leader because I don't actually call them leaders at that point. So the community moderator will start shutting them down, right? Because they feel insecure, because their purpose in that community is to look at me, I'm in charge, I know everything, and I'm going to sell you stuff. So if somebody else comes in, they feel insecure, right? So they want to sort of shut that down. They actually, what they want is an audience. They don't want a community. They just want to talk at people and then get people to buy stuff, right? A good community leader, you've got to have a huge amount of confidence in your own ability, right? To know that when people come in and you've taught people that they'll come in and they'll share, and you don't feel insecure because people are doing that. You actually feel this is great. I've taught this person, they've come through, then they're passing that knowledge on. I learned this in martial arts years ago, right? The higher grades teach the lower grades go up, then they start teaching the lower grades, right? You don't feel bad. You feel proud as an instructor to teach a lower grade that then starts teaching another grade, right? But a lot of people will go, their ego gets in the way and they go, well, I'm better at that than you. I know better. I'll do that. I don't want you doing that. You're doing it wrong. You're not doing it my way. Yeah. So you have to be really confident, and when you allow people to express themselves within the guidelines of the rules and the ethics of the community, of course, right, to be themselves. And David and I will go on to, and this is a really good example. So people will come into the Zenler group and they'll ask a question, and David will come in from one angle and go, blah, 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 this. And I'll come in and go, yeah, but, and actually, blah, 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 this, slightly different. That doesn't mean either of us are wrong. It just means we have a slightly different perspective on something. But as
but you pick up on things as well, don't you? Because when you're talking like that, you're actually, do you know what? That's a good idea. If we use both of those ideas, make this even better. That's good.
But as a community leader, you've got to allow that sort of stuff to go on. As long as they're not misguiding people or giving out absolutely wrong information, right? You've got to sort of, but most community leaders, they don't do that. They go, right, I want a community because one, I want to sell stuff to people, and it's a good way of doing it because they've read that somewhere, which it sort of is, right? People will upgrade if they feel they need to, and it's right for them, right? So that's okay. But they fear that someone else is going to come in and swoop the sale. They want to be known as the head honcho, right? Where they don't need to be because it's their group. They don't, as long as they're showing up, they're going to be. You don't see Rakesh coming in and doing a live every day. Yeah, everybody knows Rakesh is the CEO of Zenler, right? But he doesn't come in every day and go, I'm the CEO and da da da, and you lot be quiet because this is my. It would never work, right? He lets us get on with it. We have conversations behind the scenes. We know what everything's going on. It all works great. So that's how I think a good community should operate. But a lot of people won't do that. They feel very insecure. And that's a shame because I think it shuts down a lot of great opportunities for people.
Yeah, it does.
Did you all talk about the suggestion of having regular Zoom meetings for your community rather than just people typing in?
You could do whatever you want, mate. You can.
No. I'm asking if you suggested that because that's what we were doing for Uke West.
No, we've not got to that bit yet. Yeah. No, we're talking about community engagement in about 2 weeks' time.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we'll get on to all of that. But you're right. Take it. I think I mentioned it. Taking it from written text into video. I think I mentioned that at one point. Okay. That increases the level of engagement and community feel. You're 100% right. And how can everyone hear each other playing the ukulele if they're just on a text? It's a bit static, right?
I've got a question here. Well, it's actually what Marianne does. She said, I'm in one paid mastermind where she had to sign a non-disclosure agreement so that people feel confident their information shared with others. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty common for a mastermind, to be honest. Most masterminds, if they're high level, will get you to sign an NDA because they share very commercially sensitive information. So I'm not surprised by that whatsoever. It's got nothing to do with the community or the feel of the community. It's got everything to do with the information being shared within it.
Yeah, and of course you can do that in Zen.
Yeah. And if that's what you want to do, then that could be part of your process of people coming in, that they can't come in until they've signed that, if that's what you wanted. I've found historically it's very, very difficult to enforce an NDA, and you've got to have very deep pockets. Doesn't mean it shouldn't be taken seriously, though.
Yeah, and the one community that I talked about for business owners who are looking to exit, I mean, that would be very appropriate for them. And there could be, I'm picturing there could be a couple of different levels. One, people just want to learn about stuff, and that maybe a couple of different private communities where you have small groups who are talking very specifically about what's happening with them.
But it does set a really great tone for that particular type of group. So if you know that you have to sign, the owner of that community is saying you've got to sign an NDA before I'll let you in, you know when you go in there that you're in a safe environment, that what you say will stay in there. Right. So that actually psychologically is a really good thing to do, rather than you have to spend weeks and weeks and weeks trying to build trust up with people that you don't know. So it's an accelerated path to trust.
Someone's asked, are we sharing the link? I wasn't going to put it in there until you gave the go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah,
but are we sharing the link to the public community?
Yeah. Have you got it?
I've got it here. I'm going to drop it in the chat as well. So, guys, this is a public community. So this is the initial one that we're going to be using. You guys can come in here. You can see some posts in there already. And that's the one we're going to use. So I've dropped that in the chat. I'm going to put it on the Facebook group, and we'll probably send that out with a mail as well. So if any of you guys miss it, you've got to rush off your phones or any of that stuff, Kevin will probably send a mail out afterwards, because we're going to send a mail afterwards telling you about what if people are not in here, because there's a lot of people registered. So we want to give them a recap on what we covered today, and also we'll put a link to that community. So if you want to join up, you can. It's the tutorial site. So if you're already, hopefully all of you are members of the tutorial site anyway, no John and Ellie are, then you will automatically just better go in, sign in. Okay?
Yeah. So
approval. So we do approve, but we'll approve them. We're on it.
So your first task within that community will be to come in under this workshop, so under live session number 1, and create a post and talk about what type of community you're thinking about doing and why. How is it going to serve your students? So what type of community and why? So go into that community, start a post and just go, right, community connection workshop, task number 1, and then put that in there. And that'll get you starting to publish on that community area as well. Okay, it hasn't got to be anything fancy, it hasn't got to be anything particularly deep. Just, if you just want to, I teach, I do therapy with people. I want to create a secret support community for people. They want to feel safe and secure, and I feel this is the best way of getting them into a community, then do that. That would be absolutely fine.
Fantastic, that's good. So I got Marianne, she's saying, maybe a silly question, but where do you find the public community link? I set a public community, find the link. If you're in it, you already got the link. So it's in the URL. But we're going to look at all these things anyway. We've got some super exciting stuff to show you guys going through the series. Amazing.
Yep. Oh. Yeah, we've got some, I went through, and I'll remind people at the beginning of each session what we're going through and what's coming up, because it is important that we cover this. On the tour of Zenler, we sort of did an overview of most of the platform. In this one, we're doing 12 sessions purely on community. So it's going to be, what you don't know at the end of this won't be worth knowing, right? It's going to be that in depth. And you'll either decide, you'll make one of two decisions. You'll either go, I'm 100% in, I'm going to create a community that's going to last, or you'll go, I'm not doing it. And what we don't want is fence sitters. We want people to make a positive decision based on understanding and knowledge, because that way then you'll go forward. And if you decide to do your community and set it up, and of course you'll do it in Zenler if you have access to that. If you don't have access to it, then you need to explore that. Then, it will last longer if you follow the steps that we're going through, because, today's step is probably one of the most important ones. If you don't know the value of your own community, you don't know how that's going to look for your students coming in, then you're going to get, unfortunately, what Ellie got, which is nobody wants to join because they don't know why they're going to join. Right. And that's okay, because there's, Ellie, and I'm not picking on you, but you can go back and reset this and go, right, now I understand this. You can go back to that group and re-email them and go, look, this is my community and this is why you want to come and join it. This is the benefit of you joining my community, right? Whereas you probably might not have done that already.
Yeah, stay with us, Ellie. Really good for you. Be interested to hear your journey on.
Remember, sometimes not everybody sees your emails either. So, people might not have seen it or they've missed it or I'll do it later. You have to keep reminding people. I mean, we send out 3 or 4 emails about our workshops. We do a couple of lives. We do Facebook posts. We have to remind people because they don't see it, right? And people go, well, isn't that spamming people? No, because it's in their interest to turn up. If they want to do a community, we're here to show them, right? Now, after today, they're not going to get all those emails. It's done. We've done 4 or 5 days of it. That's it, finished. But if you send one email and expect everyone to see it and turn up, it's never going to happen.
I guarantee that after we've run this event, after people will say, where's the link for me to sign up?
Oh, we get it all the time. How many times on the last one did we get people coming into Facebook going, how do I join this? How do I join it? How do I get on Zoom?
Yeah.
And we've been running like 5 sessions going, join it here, join it here. Here's the link.
Yeah, the same happens with live support desk. We get people come on live support desk. You probably heard them yourself where they've gone, I didn't know this existed. And we've been running this for so long, and we get people coming say, I'm going to be here every week now. Now I know this exists. It's been, and Mammy was sending lots of emails out with that. Kevin mentioned those all the time. So emails, a lot of, I understand why. I'm exactly the same. You get so much stuff in your junk or in your folder, and you're just looking through and you just miss it. And it happens a lot if you're getting a lot of stuff. So that's why we sort of do it quite a lot. Pound on about it.
And sometimes it's the title of the email. People don't instantly recognise it's useful for them, so we change it. And, there's whole different reasons behind it. But, one email and then expecting everyone to jump on it isn't realistic. That's not how people operate these days. But if you was to do an email every day for 6 months, you're probably a bit crazy, right? So don't do that. I think at that point you can safely guarantee nobody else is joining.
Yeah, I've got some people have I don't know, any of you guys got into the community, because I'm getting some emails saying people are trying to log in, but they get sent to their community log in.
Oh.
But make sure you're going to tutorials.newzenler.com.
Did you use the invite link, David?
Yeah. Oh.
No, you just sent the community link.
I'm such a dumb bug. All right,
We'll try again. Right, reset. It's okay. Look, the thing is, these community things are new for us as well, so we're still getting used to it and navigating our way around it.
Yeah.
I was charged but can't log into my platform.
All right, guys. Sorry. Here's the link. Here's the link. It is an invite link. Okay. I don't understand, because you should actually be able to go to that community. Like, can I do a quick screen share? I can show you. Can you see that, Kevin?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah. So what I did was I shared this here.
Yep.
Okay? But you can use an invite link here, which is what I shared second time. However, this link here, you should be able to, I'm going to go into incognito, and you should still be able to join it. So if I go to incognito window here, I flip this up, maybe it won't show now. Don't know, but it should be working.
It probably will.
Yeah, there we go. So I can join there, big join button.
Now the final test is if you're logged into a different Zenler site that's not connected to tutorials, and then you click that link, what happens then?
Oh yeah, then it might do that.
I think what it's doing is some form of weird redirect.
Yeah. So if you're checking in incognito, you should be joined. But I sent that direct invite link. So what I suggest you guys do is just do it in incognito and just join, and then we'll see you as an approval, and we'll just approve you to come in there. But that's why I thought you could jump straight in. I always check against.
I don't think I've got anything else to cover. But I'll catch you live in the group tomorrow anyway. We'll stick the link underneath Facebook. Have an awesome rest of your day. Thank you all for participating and listening to the workshop. And I will see you in workshop number 2 on Wednesday, same time, same place. Look out for the email with a link in it. And until then, from David, myself, and the rest of the education team, have an awesome day, and we'll see you soon.